All right, welcome back to the Midseason Showdown in Independence, Missouri. Uh, we are starting top cut, so this is the top four match of Ethan Simpson versus Brycen. Maybe the winner will let me know his last name.
It's Brycen Parker. That's
All
his.
right, so Ethan Simpson versus Brycen Parker. Before we get into the game, I want to just say I'm very excited for Ethan by making it into the top four. He's earned enough CP in order to qualify for the World Championships. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm also excited for what this match is about to bring us. So in team preview, Ethan's rocking a team of Landorus, Raichu, Kartana, Tapu, Fini, Charizard, and Braviary. Meanwhile, Brycen has a team of Metagross, Volcarona, Milotic, Tyranitar, Hitmontop, and Tapu Bulu. So a couple of non-conventional picks here. Ethan has had a lot of success with this Raichu Braviary combination, and we saw Brycen playing earlier. Volcarona has kind of fallen off a little bit, and Hitmontop, again, not super common, but he's kind of doing a throwback to the Gen 5 seasons with that top month combination.
Brycen is a player who hasn't been around for a couple years. He and Jacob Peterson came out. They were both playing back in 2015 at the very least, and certainly before then. And for Brycen to the top cut event, I think is pretty cool. He used to be an old, really strong player, beat me today, and he's doing really well. So we see a Raichu and Braviary lead from Ethan against the Metagross and Volcarona from Brycen. So the Raichu here, probably going to, I imagine, we see the Braviary is not really in a good spot. It's being pressured pretty hard by the opposing Metagross. It does threaten the opposing Volcarona pretty well. It's going to be able to knock that out in one shot. Has to be concerned a little bit about Flame Body. Luckily, if it opts to Z-move that Volcarona, it won't activate the Flame Body, but nevertheless, we see Metagross Mega Evolve.
Right, so Raichu here, not threatening a whole lot of damage on either of these, but it does have Fake Out and plenty of support options that it can go for. So we see the Fake Out into the Volcarona, not wanting to allow it to do anything wild right now, as Ice Punch connects with the Braviary and deals, quite a bit of damage, but Braviary survives with enough HP to set up the Tailwind.
Yeah, that's an important survival there from Braviary. It looked like Ethan was very comfortable with that play, wanting to fake out the Volcarona, make sure nothing goes wrong in that slot. And now he's threatening a knockout on the Volcarona still. His Raichu is a physical Raichu, so he will be able to do some damage with Volt Tackle, but I imagine that this Raichu is more probably going to switch out. He could also opt for a play of Encore on the Metagross and switch something in that would like to take the Ice Punch. But offhand, I can't think of anything that would particularly want to take that, so I imagine this is going to be an attack from Braviary into the Volcarona as the Raichu switches out. But nevertheless, let's see what happens. So,
Raichu switches out. Raichu coming out for the Kartana, and Kartana will be able to take most of the attacks that Metagross is firing off fairly well. While Kartana is very frail, especially its physical defense rivals that of Ferrothorn, so it can normally take a hit there. And we do see the Supersonic Sky Strike coming out, probably going into what was the Volcarona slot. I like that play because even though he could have just picked up the KO with Brave Bird, if he was going to be KO'd by Recoil, it's better to go for the Sky Strike. That way, whatever attack Metagross is going for, it doesn't get redirected to the partner as well. So we
still was a sizable chunk.
A resisted hit, but it still deals about 40% of that Tyranitar, which is a decent amount of damage to take on the switch like that, as the Iron Head connects with the Braviary for the KO.
You see Charizard come in, and I think this is really prime pickings for Ethan in this sort of situation. Heat Wave is now pressuring a lot of damage on this Metagross. If I recall correctly, Ethan is still running Flamethrower on his Charizard as well, which means he can pick up a safe knockout there. And Sacred Sword will do a significant amount of damage to the Tyranitar. It looks like Tyranitar is switching out, probably for that Volcarona, attempting to, take that Sacred Sword. But if this is a Heat Wave coming in, Heat Wave plus Sacred Sword will do a significant amount of damage. This will allow him to reset the Tyranitar, get Sand in again, and that will make Charizard's Fire-type attacks that much weaker. It's also probable that the Metagross protects here. Probably doesn't want to just go down in one shot. So a nice defensive switch here, I think, from Brycen, taking advantage of, even though he's going to take a lot of damage. Oh, but there's actually a Swords Dance. Oh, that's a huge play. The Swords Dance capitalizing on the Tyranitar's unwillingness to just faint to a Sacred Sword. And now this is really good because now even if Sand comes in, I think... Actually, well, do you think the Leaf Blade will knock out the Volcarona from this range at +2? I'm not really sure.
I'm really sorry I cut out there, so I didn't see what happened last turn.
No. So the Volcarona switched in on the Heat Wave, but the Kartana went for a Swords Dance. And so now, yeah, if the Kartana is threatening a knockout on the Volcarona, this could be really huge. He still has to deal with the potential for Flame Body and things like that. Also, we've seen, I believe in previous rounds, or if not, I've seen it, that this Volcarona does have Rage Powder, so Ethan needs to consider that. I don't recall whether or not this Volcarona has a Berry, but yeah, Metagross switches out.
So Metagross switches out, doesn't want to deal with taking a Heat Wave there, as the Volcarona also switches out. So Tyranitar setting the Sun again. It's going to limit Charizard's damage output a little bit, as the Sacred Sword connects with the Tyranitar, and that's a clean KO. So with that Beast Boost, that's going to put Volcarona up to +3 now. And I don't think anything on Brycen's team wants to deal with that.
Yeah, this Kartana is in a fantastic position. Volcarona will be able to come in, but surely it is in range of a boosted Leaf Blade by how many stages of attack it has. And that will do a significant portion. I mean, that'll knock out the Milotic straight up. Despite this Volcarona having the move Rage Powder, because Kartana is a Grass type, it's immune to that attack. So it's able to just attack right around it. And even though the Volcarona gets replaced here, I don't know. I suppose it is out of Sun, but I think an Overheat may even be threatening a knockout on the Volcarona. So
I mean, it would be an Overheat out of Sun, and also at already -2. Given the moveset on this Volcarona, I would anticipate it being trained to be more defensive. So I would hazard a guess that it's probably not a safe KO right now. So Ethan deciding to go ahead and switch out. Brycen also switching out, bringing that Metagross in. That's going to be able to take a Leaf Blade considerably more comfortably. But Ethan goes for the Sacred Sword into the Volcarona and picks up that KO. However, unfortunately, Flame Body does activate. So that's going to deal damage over time. But the more important thing there is that it cuts out cuts Kartana's attack in half. Although since Kartana is now at +4, maybe that's not a huge blessing.
Yeah, we've seen since the Kartana is at +4, that's typically times 3 stages of attack. So the burn puts it about 1.5. So that means it's roughly equivalent to a +1 Kartana, which is still threatening the knockout on Milotic. Raichu has a... If Brycen opts to protect his Pokemon, then he's faced with potential threat of Encore from Raichu. So this Kartana is also not really threatened by a lot of damage. Most of Metagross can do here is maybe Ice Punch or Stomping Tantrum for some damage, but still not very much. Interestingly enough, so if this Fake Out does go into Metagross, he actually does have a boosted Stomping Tantrum right now. So I'm not really sure if a boosted Stomping Tantrum would be enough to knock out Kartana from full. But if Brycen is aware of the Stomping Tantrum mechanics, I know he's a little bit out of a loop, so maybe he's not aware of those, but perhaps Ethan should be respecting that option of going for a Stomping Tantrum here that would knock out the Kartana potentially. But he still has to deal with the potential threat of a speed tie with the Encore, assuming both the Metagross and the Raichu are max speed. Ethan can also opt to Volt Tackle or Encore the Milotic, so I'd still say that Ethan is still in a strong position here.
Right. Even if the Stomping Tantrum's base power is doubled, because Kartana would take it neutrally, it would not be a stab attack from Metagross. I would hazard a guess that it's likely to survive, just based on some of the other attacks that I know that Kartana is capable of surviving on the physical side.
Well, this is that boosted Stomping Tantrum, but it's going into the Raichu, so that'll knock that out. But a failed double protect on Milotic means a Leaf Blade will probably pick up a knockout there, as it does. So of note that the Metagross outsped the Raichu there either means that it's not a speed tie or that the Metagross won a speed tie or of some nature. Ethan
Right,
would know this information based on that series of events, but we don't. We see the Charizard replaces the final Pokemon, and this is looking pretty tough for Brycen. The Charizard in the back, even if Stomping Tantrum was able to knock out Kartana, would still be very difficult to break for Brycen at this point, with the Fire-type attacks from Charizard threatening the Metagross, and the Electric-type attacks from Raichu threatening the Milotic. You can't even freeze in harsh sunlight, so we just see a Stomping Tantrum into Kartana, so we can see how much this would do. I think
so
you're
even
right.
double that wouldn't have been enough. Sacred
Yeah.
connects and deals just about 50%, and Heat Wave is going to connect and close out the game. So the struggle there in that game was that even if Metagross was strong enough, it could only pick up one KO at a time, and it just wasn't going to be able to get both of those Pokemon before taking too much damage.
I like the way that Ethan abused Tailwind in this match. By utilizing the combination of Kartana and Charizard in Tailwind, it felt like Brycen didn't have that many options. Sacred Sword was threatening the Tyranitar, which was probably his primary answer to Charizard, if not Milotic. But Milotic is also being pressured by the Kartana, obviously. And then Kartana's threats, quite honestly, are just really Volcarona. Hitmontop sort of beats Kartana, but Post Combat won't knock it out in a single hit, and it takes a little bit to get going. So, that Sword Stance call that Ethan made in the mid game is really strong, I think, as well.
And can help slow it down. The problem is Brycen's got to be careful of that Braviary he likes to bring. I've seen him lead it several times in his stream matches today.
Yeah, he led it last game as well, so maybe leading Hitmontop into faster Fake Out and Defiant might not be the wisest play.
Yeah, probably not the best option you've ever made. I do really like Ethan's play last game, especially when he was punishing Brycen for trying to play safely or stall out Tailwind turns by, hitting that Sword Stance and just really capitalizing on the momentum he had at that point.
Yep. All right, so Brycen going to have to adjust significantly, I think Ethan felt in the commanding position at game one, but he switches it up a little bit as well, leading the Tapu Fini and the Charizard into the Metagross and Volcarona, and Charizard is quite happy in this position, to say the least.
Right, Charizard is basically free to just fire off very powerful spread moves. It's going to deal a lot of damage to Volcarona, it's going to deal a lot of damage to Metagross. We did see in Brycen's earlier stream match, Kartana is carrying Tailwind, and so if it's able to set up its own Tailwind, maybe Brycen can kind of do what Ethan did last game and just set up the Tailwind. He'll take a lot of damage on this turn doing so, but then maybe try and use that momentum to really close out in the mid to late game.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The Metagross here probably not going to fall to a Fire-type attack. I doubt Brycen's going to let him do that. So I imagine this is, as you said, a protect Tailwind. Because Charizard has Mega Evolve, that means Tyranitar can come in relatively safely on the following turn. It will get its Sand Spadef boost, so Moonblast won't do as much. And it will also get a... it will turn off the Sun for Charizard, so the Fire attacks will obviously be less. But actually, we see the Metagross just attack. It goes for an Iron and the Charizard, potentially trying to pick up a flinch. Tapu Fini revealing it's faster than Charizard if it hasn't already, hitting the Metagross and the Volcarona for negligible damage, but nevertheless lowering their speeds in case Tailwind does go up. And if Charizard is able to connect its attacks here, we see an Overheat. Wow.
Yeah, this Overheat into Volcarona picks up the KO, and that's huge because that prevents most of what Brycen has as goes. At least right now, he may have the Hitmontop to do disruption. Taking away his best option for speed control is just really damaging, I think. However, the Tyranitar comes in, and Charizard's not in a great spot to be facing down a Tyranitar, -2 special attack, and in Sand. So I don't think Charizard's wanting to stick around on the field right now. Maybe Tyranitar gets a couple turns to set up some Dragon Dances.
Yeah, this is definitely the prime position for Tyranitar. Definitely where it wants to be at. The Metagross going for the Iron Head there, essentially unpunished. There was no flinch but there was also no attack on there, and you actually see a haze come out. So the haze is going to remove the Charizard's special attack drop, and now Overheat will be able to knock out Metagross cleanly. Wow. So Brycen there was, like you said, feeling pretty confident that he would be able to perhaps get away with Charizard switching out and use Iron Head on the Tapu Fini, but that's not what happens. He is going to lose Charizard for this play, but at least it's not a Dragon Dance. The Tapu Fini is looking pretty good versus Tyranitar. Kartana in the back is looking really good. Both Metagross and Volcarona are down. If Ethan has Kartana, this is going to be a pretty good time to send it in.
Yeah, I just really like the reveal of Haze right there. Because I'm sure, if I'm Brycen, all right, minus Charizard, there's no way it stays in on my Tyranitar. Like, the free damage right now. Just, setting that Haze, KOing Metagross. I'd say for free, Ethan did lose his Charizard for his trouble, but, I feel like he really comes out ahead in that trade. Just, wow. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was really useful. That was very, very important because now Kartana here in the end game, pressuring a lot of damage on the Tyranitar. If Fake Out goes into Kartana, which will stall one turn, but I like this Icy Wind play from Ethan. Probably the best way for him to come back in this game is by using Dragon Dance, and Icy Wind takes that away from him for one turn. Allows the Sacred Sword to pressure the Tyranitar the following turn, but there is not a Dragon Dance to be found. Instead, we see a Rock Slide. I believe Tapu Fini will be put into berry range after 2 more turns of sand. Is that? That looks about right. If not, it might be 3.
I
so
do like
Sword,
that.
Yeah.
I do like that Brycen is just going for damage here, though. After seeing Haze, he's like, you know what? I can try and set up a Dragon Dance, but if I do that, I can just get burned for it eventually. So, not burned in the status condition in essence, but I can set up Dragon Dances and I'll get punished for it. So my best bet is to just go for damage. So I do like this Protect on Ethan's side, baiting out the Protect, because obviously Brycen has to get rid of that Kartana if he wants to have any chance of winning this game. So burning the Protect on Tyranitar in order to be able to attack it this turn, that was just a good read, in my opinion, to make the safe play.
Yeah, I like that play a lot from Ethan. It didn't feel like he could lose very much from doing that play. The most punishing thing he could have done was Rock Slide would have activated the Fini's Berry. It felt really tough. And now a Moonblast and Sacred Sword. If it doesn't knock out Tyranitar is not going to be able to knock out both of these in return. And this is a good game. That was a really, really well played set by Ethan. I think he had a really good. I think his matchup was average, if not favorable for him. But he played it really, really well. The Swords Dance in mid game, the Haze Overheat there in game 2, I think really showed. Ethan's got his World's Invite, and he is looking to just win the whole tournament while he's at it.
Yeah, and I definitely think, Ethan just showed in that match exactly why he's season, why he deserves the invite to the championships. And, hopefully it's a little bit of proof that he's going to do well when he goes. So, really excited to watch him in the finals as well. Do you have any update on how the other top 4 match is going?
Well, I will be getting it ready here shortly, so we will see you guys.
Oh, we're streaming them both? Excellent.
Yeah, we're streaming. Yeah, we're going to stream both top 4 matches. So we'll be seeing Drew Novak versus Josh Adams here in a bit. So hang on and stay tuned, and we'll be there in just a bit.
Stand by.